This is the Johnny Cleveland Podcast, all things Cleveland sports, with your host, John Suchan. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Johnny Cleveland Podcast. We are Tuesday night, April 28th. It's going to be May. May 1st is coming on Friday. Can you believe that? Oh boy. And the weekend after, just a shout out to all you mothers. We're having Mother's Day right around the corner. So Kentucky Derby coming up this weekend. Colleague of mine over at Northeast Ohio Sports Insiders, Bill Petrello, who we had on as a guest, wrote a great article about the Kentucky Derby. So check that out. Great writer. Welcome aboard here on my show here, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of Fans First Sports Network, and shout out to Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. They shake the hand of the farmer. Check their link out on our X page. We are right now live on Facebook, YouTube, and the X. We really appreciate you guys coming over, following us, subscribing to our network. We've been doing this for a while. I know there's other podcasts out there, and I'm hoping that you listen to them and you listen to us, and you get to hear a bunch of variety of takes. There's been a lot of takes over the last few days. The draft, the Browns just finished up with the rest of the league. Lots to dissect there. So I am fashionably late. I said that the show would start at 9:15, and it's approximately 9:23. I have this bad habit of being fashionably late, like we like to say. I learned this skill a long time ago. Years ago, when I was a child, not a child, I was a teenager. Grew up in Worcester, Ohio. Worcester, shout out to Worcester, all you guys up there in Worcester. Great little community south there of Cleveland. That's where I grew up to be a Browns fan. So I would get these, when I was in high school back then, I could ride the bus, or I could get a ride, and my neighbors next door would ride us to the school. And it was convenient because I used to play a band instrument. Any guesses on what instrument I played? So if you have questions tonight as we go through the show, please interact. It's great. We had a great show last night, Stirring the Pot. Appreciate some of you guys who are watching, commenting on the draft. We'll talk about that here momentarily. We'll talk about the Cleveland Guardians, who are falling on hard times. All of a sudden, they've lost 4 in a row. Are they ever going to win a game again? I mean, it is only April 28th. I can't even get that right. So getting back to my short story here. So I've always been fashionably late. Thanks to my best friends growing up next door to them, they just had a tendency to go to school late, and I was riding along with them. So the good thing was, back in the day, we could build your schedule for the high school, and I was in the band, so I was able to get a study hall first period, and I could hang out in the band room and get that, so I could come in and no one could care less. Now, I'm an educator, and you work with schools and stuff, and everyone is keeping track of every second, every moment in time. You can't, if you're tardy, you get written up. If you're late, if you have an unexcused absence, all these things happen. Back in the day, this is 1986, no one really cared. And so back then, our kids from the high school at Worcester, we could walk down a half mile to where all the fast food joints were and have lunch and leave campus and then come back if you wanted to. Or you drive your car, people would drive cars. Back then, we didn't have like a huge parking lot in Worcester. You had to park on the side streets. I'm sure those fine people around Worcester High School, the olden days, probably don't miss the high school being there. The high school now they've built a beautiful new school in Worcester, up on the north side of town, where everything is booming. If you're familiar with that part of Worcester and Akron Cannon area, Worcester has got a nice little college there. Anyway, back to my story about being fashionably late. So I grew up being fashionably late. It still continues to this day. If you want to go out talk to any of my colleagues, I'm sure that they would chime in and give you 2 cents or about my being fashionably late. I will say this though, if I'm supposed to be someplace, typically I'm on time. But what's so bad about being 5, 10 minutes, right? I mean, just 5 minutes, maybe 10. Anywho, and I know there are those of you who don't like, like when you're, this is totally it's kind of the same subject, but not really. When people say to be on time, and then like, let's say you're somewhere and like a nice school or a college campus or something, and you have the sidewalks and you have all the nice things around there, but you're supposed to walk on the sidewalks and not like the grassy areas. What's wrong? Like if you're want to get from point A to point B and you have a nice grassy knoll where there's just nothing there, just open field. What's exactly wrong with just crossing through the grass? Some people get very upset about that. Well, you're not supposed to walk on the grass. You're supposed to walk on the pavement or walk on the sidewalk. I've never understood that, completely. If you could explain that to me, that would be good too. So, speaking of fashionably late stories, so today I was supposed to get my my foot. Not that you care, but I have had some pain. Have a little issue with my foot, with my heel, and so I've had to go to the foot doctor. Went there 2 weeks ago. They gave me a cortisone shot to give away the help with the pain. Now, I've also had issues like with my one knee. Got a cortisone shot there. Can you hear me still? I'm back. Can you all hear me? Maybe. Hopefully, I didn't lose you that long. Well, let's see here. I'm back. Can you all hear me? All right, we are live. Sorry about the technical issues there. Hopefully, you've come back to me. And if you decided not to, you want to go find somewhere else, that's fine. You can scroll. I don't know. My microphone has been acting bizarre the last couple days. So we'll try to get that managed here, but well, let's see here. All right, so I think we're good. So I was telling this story. I don't know what you heard missed here, but I'm being fashionably late. But I recently had. All right, so I think we're good. Went to the doctor today, and of course I was late. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you guys about being fashionably late. There you go. You heard part of the story. Hopefully you heard most of the story. All right. Um, hey, I'm back again. Oh, it's been a fun evening. All right, so let's talk about the draft. If you're still with me, I appreciate it. The Browns had one hell of a draft. I've talked about it a little bit yesterday with our Stirring the Pot show, but when you talk about drafts that we will maybe look back on in Cleveland Browns history, last year's draft, this year's draft have really just been outstanding. It started with Spencer Fano at pick number 9. They went and then got Casey Concepcion, and then Denzel Boston, and then Emmanuel McNeil Warren. 4 guys that were in the uh, presumably like could have gone in the first round. They got some really good value there. So really good stuff. I think, you look at the rest of the players that they picked up, Austin Barber, a lot of people were very excited about him. Just I think, long term, everyone in the league, Browns fans are talking about this being could be real legit, including this new quarterback from Arkansas, Talon Green, who did some good things at Arkansas and could be an interesting piece to help this Browns offense. The Browns offense definitely needs some help. We can all agree on that. The Browns drafted 8 players on offense this year and only drafted 2 on defense. So everybody knows what the needs were. Andrew Berry, Todd Monken, the Browns organization did a really good job. Now, there's been conversation since then about a variety of things, including this ongoing conversation about, well, Ty Simpson, who was drafted by the L.A. Rams, quarterback used for Alabama. He went to the Rams, and there was a long article, and some other people that have interviewed Andrew Berry are trying to speculate that, well, if Ty Simpson had been there, that the Browns certainly would have considered him at 24 or 39. Now, if you listen to the most recent interview today by Andrew Berry, where Tony Grossi interviewed him, he said that, sure, he would be considered, but Casey Concepcion was really their one dude, their one guy. Him, Denzel Boston, and Emmanuel McNeil Warren. They didn't expect. They weren't. You know, they had a. They thought Emmanuel McNeil Warren would certainly be gone by the time they got him at 58. So the fact that they were able to get him then is really, really impressive. And it's something that I think long term this Browns team is going to really benefit from with this kid. But getting back to the Casey Concepcion pick at 24 and this conversation about Ty Simpson, I mean, there are people in the local media here in Cleveland who are just insistent on wanting to say, well, they would have considered it and want to make you click on it and like act like that was really going to happen. And it really wasn't. And if they did, I think I would have stopped being a Browns fan. Ty Simpson, great. Have a great career. Hopefully you learn with the LA Rams. You'll have time with watching Matthew Stafford play in front of you, and maybe that's what you need. But he certainly would not have been a good mix here with the Cleveland team, the way that it's being put together. Now, Taylen Green, on the other hand, he could maybe come in and help this team offensively in ways, maybe not at quarterback, but we'll see. So, all in all, it was just a fantastic, fantastic draft by the Cleveland Browns. Something that I hope that years from now you'll look back at and we'll all be like, that was really a good 2 years. And maybe next year they knock it out of the park again. A lot of people are questioning, well, why are they all of a sudden having really good drafts? Let's just put it this way. We've had one good draft last year, right? And so now we have two. We have two potentially, but we haven't seen how these guys are going to work out. So we're all speculating. I'm speculating by saying, well, this is one hell of a draft. When you look back at drafts for the Cleveland Browns, and you go back and look for yourself, go reference it, and you'll see all these players that these teams draft. We think at the time of that draft that, this could really pan out. I mean, you remember what happened in 2014. They took Justin Gilbert first, and then they took Johnny Manziel. That's what got everybody excited. But there was a moment in time, and you should go back and think about this. This is 12 years ago. But there were many of you Browns fans who were very gung-ho about that draft, thinking, especially with Johnny Manziel in the mix there. It, of course, did not work out. Justin Gilbert was one of the worst picked players of all time. So we'll see how it all plays out. The Browns drafted 10 players, which is kind of a high number for Browns draft picks overall. If you go back historically and look how many players, typically they draft anywhere between 7, 8, 9. We had a series of drafts where we didn't have any number one picks. So this is nice that we're able to get a couple first round picks. We obviously know the reason for that is because of Deshaun Watson. I pray to God every day that Deshaun Watson isn't the starting quarterback for this Browns team when the season opens. I'm a big Shedeur fan. I will continue to say that. I believe that the kid deserves the week 1 start. And I know he has a lot of work in front of him. And I know that's what Andrew Berry talked about today, needing him to make improvements and progress and not turn the ball over. Honestly, I didn't think he turned the ball. I mean, he did statistically. Yes, he did turn the ball over a little bit, but that's something that can always be corrected. He also did mention, Andrew Berry did, of Shedeur Sanders, that he looked good, in the spring sessions that they've just had over the last couple of weeks. So we'll see how that all pans out. Let's pause for a quick commercial break. This has been a technically challenged episode of the Johnny Cleveland podcast. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks for coming back to us. I know I've had some glitches with this microphone tonight. It's been weird. Anyway, I think it's good to go. I had to leave the studio, come back in. So if you didn't see anything for a little bit and you were like, where the hell did John go? Well, I'm back. So we'll splice it. We'll make it all nice and neat. So when the audio hopefully goes out later, it'll be the most fantastic show of all time. And if you're listening to us later on Apple or Spotify, you're going to be going like, well, what is he talking about? I couldn't tell that there was any issues. I'm going to splice it all together so you don't have to worry about it. So the draft was very good for the Cleveland Browns. Now we only have 134 days left to wait on the season. So we have a lot of time to talk about it. Now the Cavs, they've got a big game. I think it's tomorrow night at home. They've kind of fallen on hard times, and some of you out there are really ganging up on the Cavaliers. That's unfortunate. They've got an excellent opportunity to win the next couple of games, so stay positive. If you're paying attention to the rest of the NBA playoffs, the Detroit Pistons got beat by the Orlando Magic and are down 3-1. So the number 1 seed is struggling right now against the number 8 seed. And it could be logical to think that the Cavaliers could play the Orlando Magic in the next playoff series in the Eastern Conference semifinals. So cross your fingers and we'll see what happens next. Like I said earlier, the Guardians lost again tonight, 1-0. They can't seem to find any kind of offense. Cleveland teams struggle with finding offense, don't they, sometimes? the Guardians have struggled on and off, and now they've lost 4 in a row. So we'll see how that all pans out for them as well. I wrote an article today for Dog Pound Daily. Check that out, about David Njoku, the free agent, former tight end of the Cleveland Browns, is still out there. So could it happen? Maybe. Do the Browns really need a tight end? Probably not. They drafted 2 kids, one from BYU, the other one from Cincinnati. Both should help. Harold Fannin, and there's a couple other tight ends on our current roster to begin with. One of them they signed as a free agent a few weeks ago. So do I think that David Njoku is really going to come back to Cleveland? Probably not, but I wrote about it, so go check it out. And I shout out, not really, to Yahoo Sports. They're stealing my stories. They're stealing our stories. I don't know if you guys know this, but the big wig, stupid sports groups like Yahoo Sports, they have a bad habit of taking other people's written work, getting away with it, and repost it as their own with my title. They put my name under the article at the end of the article, giving me props, and then put a link to my article on Dog Pound Daily. Check it out, Dog Pound Daily. My article on David Njoku is now listed by Yahoo Sports as the #1 article about David Njoku in the nation. Great, but I'm not getting any of that credit. So you do me a favor if you could go over to Dog Pound Daily, click on that story, and then you'd be helping this poor guy out. But it is really stupid. And I've talked to my friends, colleagues that I write for, and it's just a real nuisance. And I'm not quite sure why Yahoo Sports is allowed to do that, but I don't make the big bucks, and it's just a sad state of affairs. It seems kind of like cheating, right? You're cheating. You're not playing the game right. And there was this article recently written from a person at Yahoo Sports who actually wrote an article that was on the inside of the Browns draft room, and it was a very good article. So they do have actual sports writers that work for Yahoo Sports. So that would be nice if they could concentrate on that rather than stealing other people's written work. Would appreciate it, Yahoo, if you stop doing that, because you are cheating the system. Shame on them, right? Shame on them. All right. Well, folks, we will be back tomorrow night. Troy Current and I will be back. We have our new Stadium Mustard and Cincinnati Chili show that we look forward to talking to you more about. We're going to be talking food, all types of food, and talking about the Cincinnati Reds, talking about the Cleveland Guardians, talking about the Cleveland Browns, talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, and their draft picks tomorrow night. So tune into that tomorrow night. I think we'll be starting around 9:15 tomorrow evening. Thursday night, we'll be back with the Fanatical Elves Network show. Then we have Rod Bloom and his brother Jeff. They'll have their, I think, latest show, I think Thursday night, if I'm correct. The Browns breakdowns with Sam the Man. And go back and listen to Steve Gill with his Dog Pound South show earlier in the week. Everybody, I appreciate you tuning in. Sorry for the technical glitches. Hopefully we'll get this all corrected and we won't have any more issues this week. All right, take care. Goodbye. And remember, too, that's right, keep smiling. See ya.